My name is Martin Leahy. I'm a musician from Bandon in County Cork. Every week on a Thursday, I travel to Dublin and stand outside the gates of Dáil Éireann to sing my song, Everyone Should Have a Home. This Thursday will be week 187. I do this to protest the ongoing housing crisis in the country. I had never done any type of activism like this before, but I was driven to do it out of desperation and a feeling of helplessness. I continue to do it because I don't believe that this crisis should be accepted as part of life here in Ireland. In 2022, I received word that my landlord was planning on selling the property I was living in and I was going to be evicted. Even though I lived in a rural part of West Cork, I quickly realised that I could not afford the rent of the very few properties that were available. I have always rented and have always been able to pay my rent. This was the first time in my life that I could not do it. I lived in a constant state of fear and stress for the best part of 3 years, and eventually I had to enter what's known as the hidden homeless. The hidden homeless are estimated to be in the hundreds of thousands and do not make the official homeless figures. After 3 years of living in this worry, I did finally find a place to rent 8 months ago. My experience brought into sharp focus the stress and the sense of dread that people are constantly living under when renting in this country. Always wondering if the landlord will sell the property, if they'll get evicted, wondering if they will ever get on the home ownership ladder. Such is the dysfunction of the crisis. I considered myself lucky because I had someone to stay with. There are so many families who have nowhere to go. Through doing my weekly protest, I get messages all the time from people in desperate situations. I don't have time here to go into individual cases, but the stories are just absolutely heartbreaking and cruel. Lives being completely ruined because of this crisis. Children being traumatised for life, adults too. I hear of people being ignored and neglected by their private landlords and their city council landlords and having to live in rat-infested squalor. Living in mould-infested hovels with the mould taking root in their lungs day by day. These are not stories from the tenements in the 1800s. This is Ireland in 2025, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Over the 3.5 years of my protest, I've encountered many people in homelessness who happen to be walking by on a Thursday who will stop and tell me their stories. These stories are told to me outside the gates of the Dáil, outside the gates of power, sleeping in tents, staying in emergency accommodation, sleeping in shelters, sleeping on the streets outside empty buildings. When I started my protest in 2022, it was unimaginable to me that the housing crisis could get any worse. The official homeless figures at that point were just over 10,000. As we head into Christmas 2025, in Ireland, the figure is 16,766 people. That is 5,274 children with no homes this Christmas. This government has utterly failed the people living in this country. They gaslight us week in, week out, year in, year out. Their level of cruelty is unthinkable. We saw what they did when the homeless services were pleading with them not to lift the eviction ban. They lifted it. It was an emergency measure that would have temporarily stopped the flow of families into homelessness, but government didn't care. They lifted it anyway. And the long-term solutions are well known too. Build public housing on public land, build social and affordable housing. It was done before in this very country when the country's wealth was nothing close to what it is now. If serious action was taken in tackling vacancy and dereliction, it could go a long way to solving this crisis. We all see the empty, boarded up buildings in our cities and in our towns. Around 163,000 vacant properties in the country at the moment. The majority require no planning. The structures are already there. We watch these homes slowly rot in front of our eyes as the housing crisis gets worse and worse. I'm not in any political party, but I know that this government are not willing to or capable of solving this crisis. Shame on this government for making us feel shame and humiliation for not being able to afford unaffordable housing. Shame on this government for ruining people's one and only life by denying them this basic human right. Shame on them all. I don't know anything about the personal lives of the party members in government, but I'm going to take a guess that none of their children will be homeless this Christmas. Everyone should have a home. In this world, in this life, it's a basic human right to have a dignified place you call your own. Everyone should have a home, safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home.